Hey, this is Brent Jensen. You're listening to No Sleep Till Sudbury, the show where we talk about the music that makes your skin vibrate. This show is brought to you by Pariah Pickups. What you want, what you need, and what you love. Check them out at pariahpickups.com. To support the No Sleep Till Sudbury show on Patreon, you can visit patreon.com/BrentJensenMusic. This week, Alex Huard makes his return to the show. Alex is the host of the Excellent Release Day series, a program featuring Canadian musicians as they release new music and all of the efforts that go into making that release a reality. It's pretty cool. It's also recently become a podcast. Now, last year, Alex and I created a video series called Thursday Night Record Club, where I introduce Alex, who's a rock fan, but substantially younger than I am, to some rock records from my day that he wasn't previously familiar with. Van Halen, Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin, Stones, stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. All right, here's Alex. Alex Huard, welcome, sir. How you doing, man?
Brent, good to hear you again, man. I've missed you. We only hang out every Thursday.
Well, we haven't talked a lot over the holidays. We didn't really. We both kind of buried our heads in the Omicron sands.
We did. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we gave each other some space. You know, we had to allow ourselves some distance to ensure that, you know, we let the, you know, we knew, right? Love the distance is what is it? Love, something about distance and love. I don't know.
It grows fonder.
But there you go. That's it. Distance makes the heart grow fonder. So
there you go.
Yeah, man. No, it's good. You had good holidays? You were good?
I did. It was pretty good. Yeah, relaxing. Ready to get back into it, though.
Samesies.
What's going on with release day?
Well, yeah, thanks for asking about that. I'm sort of rebranding. I'm taking a bit of a look at how the overall look and feel and sort of how I approach the recording process looks. So that was nice for the holidays to sort of take a step back. Last year, 2021, was my first year podcasting. I wanted to take this break to sort of rethink the identity of the podcast and rethink a little bit of my approach to the recordings and that kind of thing. So yeah, so the break was nice to sort of think about that. And so I've done a bunch of different graphics works, updating the logo, I'm updating the website. So all these things are going into implementation this year. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's been nice to take a break. I've set up a couple interviews. But yeah, main focus has been to rejuvenate the look and put a little more thought into how I conduct these interviews.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, as you know, I'm a big fan of the show, so I can't wait to see the upgrades.
Thanks. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to share. It's always, you know, you do something different, you put it out there, just to see how it's received. So I'm excited for it.
Now, I'm also a fan of one of your other projects.
Oh yeah,
it's called Thursday Night Record Club, and I did tell you, man. When did we start? We started doing that in June, I think, right?
Started recording in June.
We probably had like 10 episodes in the can when we released the first one on YouTube. Yep. But we have done 14 episodes of Thursday Night Record Club now, and I think 12 plus 2 year-end best of episodes. And that show is an absolute joy to do with you. Like, you make it easy. I'm lucky to have you. Amazing editing skills, creativity is top shelf. And it's fun, man. It is a fun thing to do.
Man, absolutely. And I'm so glad we were able to come up sort of with that idea to sit down and talk every week about music, because it's also just like it's a great escape as well. You know, obviously talking music is that very, very therapeutic as well. But I have learned so much, not just from listening to the music, but from you as well and what you know about it. Man, it's just been an absolute blast. I mean, bourbon aside, we just have like a ton of fun sitting down and like literally me having no idea really about these songs before listening to it, and then like sounding like this millennial kid to your wise words of and experiencing the music when it, back in the day when it, was first coming out. It's been an absolute blast, and, editing it all together is so much fun. I gotta admit, I laugh a lot
Oh, yeah.
while editing these things. I'm like, oh, I have to keep that in, or do I put it as it's just a great little project.
Yeah, no, I love it. But I think that's my favorite thing about the show is why, you love talking about music, obviously, but like, I love hearing your reactions to music that I listened to when I was, 14, 15. For a guy who's, 31 and I'm now 52, that's a significant difference. But for you to tell me how you feel about, Women and Children First or, Led Zeppelin 2 it's fascinating to me. And it's that's kind of at the heart of the show for me.
Yeah, totally. And I got to say, sometimes I'm like a little worried. I'm like, man, like what? I just got to be in here and I got to be honest. I got to go in and I got to talk about how I feel. And I probably should ask you this before, but I'm not sure when the episode is going to come out, but we've started the Led Zeppelin series and we've gotten into a few Led Zeppelin episodes and our opinions don't line up for a couple of these and it's that's what makes it a lot of fun.
But see, that just adds to the veracity of the show, in my opinion, right? Because it's authentic. We did Deep Purple's Burn. And I love that record. You didn't love that record, but that's important. It would be disappointing if you said, it's really good just because you knew that I liked it. It's awesome that you contribute a counterpoint and say, well, from my perspective, the song is very long and then but that leads to kind of, it makes me think about things. And, the records were recorded in the 70s and that was a thing back then. And then, the conversation kind of goes from there and it could go anywhere. And that's interesting. Yeah.
It's great to just have that back and forth with some of these. And, but we do agree on a lot. I got to say, I do like a lot of the albums that you have me listening to.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And that's cool too, because you love Van Halen, you love Aerosmith, Rolling Stones, the Zeppelin stuff now that we're getting into. Yeah. Yeah. It's been great.
Oh yeah. So much, man. Like, and to the point where like I've been through a Van Halen book already and I'm in the middle of Led Zeppelin's biography now. Like I just, haven't had to listen to these songs and these albums. It's just, I can't help it. I guess I'm gonna have to get into an Aerosmith book eventually as well. But these have just been really piqued my interest because I think the stories of how these bands got started is just so fascinating. It's something that a lot of musicians could take, tips from.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still learning about all that stuff, because you can go all the way back beyond the Stones and the Beatles.
Oh yeah.
To the old blues guys. And I would highly recommend that. You can learn so much about how music was recorded back then and, the what was going through people's minds and what their intention was versus, intentions today. And also there's all sorts of considerations, for me. It's
and how often,
it's just all consuming.
Yeah. And how often like they had to play, how often they had to play live and find ways to play live and how many people they didn't play in front of, or where they had to go to be discovered. It's all a lot for a lot of people to, again, if you're up and coming as a musician or, it's just great information to take in and know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now on this episode of No Sleep Till Sudbury, you have elected to do something very interesting. So your songs that you're bringing in for your 5 songs that make your skin vibrate are selected from the discoveries that you've made on Thursday Night Record Club through the 12 episodes that we've done. So you've got 5 songs here. You probably have a couple more, I imagine.
Yeah, I feel like I got to give some honorable mentions as well at some point because it was really tough to select 5 from all these albums we listened to.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Okay. So are you ready to get into these? It's a good little list.
All right, let's get into them.
Okay. So the first one is from this week's episode, actually, episode 15. It's Led Zeppelin and Your Time Is Gonna Come.
Yeah. I don't have too many stories. A big thing for me is to have stories behind these. That's what I had last episode. A lot of the songs I selected had sort of like an impact on me and at a point in my life. So, to pick some of these songs, these were the ones that really stood out to me from these albums. And Your Time Is Gonna Come it feels so anthemic from that first Led Zeppelin album.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot of really good tunes on that, but this one is like, it's just the gang vocals and the chorus, and it's just really a great, I don't know, it's just a composition that, starts with sort of the keys and just everything about it. Just this one really gets me excited when I put it on. I put this on more often than any other Led Zeppelin song right now.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. There's just, and again, I don't know if you're, the messaging of the song has anything to do with it, but it's also kind of like it doesn't necessarily have to be to somebody who I want to get back at or anything, but it's interesting, especially as I'm learning about Led Zeppelin and reading about them, to hear this kind of the context of this song come together and its messaging. It just feels like your time's gonna, like, you're gonna get it. Like you broke my heart now, and like your time's gonna come. All right, don't you think it's not gonna happen? Which was interesting too. I mean, because like with Robert Plant, I mean, during the first album was like getting married to, is the woman he ended up knocking up. I don't think it was all intentional. You know, he was seeing sisters.
No, I didn't know that. Really?
He was seeing sisters,
wow. And
he got one of them pregnant, and he told Peter Grant, he's like, what do I do? Peter Grant's like, you marry her. Like, are you going to choose one or the other? No. So anyways, it's, yeah, great tune.
Wow. As you know, my favorite tune from this record is the first one. Good Times, Bad Times.
Good Times, Bad Times.
Yeah. Led Zeppelin 1, man. Oof.
It's a great start to an album, that's for sure.
Oh God, yeah. But see, another reason why I love that show is because we look at the record, we go song by song, and obviously we're going to have different opinions and stuff like that. But a little bit, I know a little bit, share information, have a couple laughs. It's a good chat.
And it's cool because the album's following this. So when I say, that I like, what was the acoustic track on this one? That's near like the end of the album, right? I said I like just like the acoustic version of this, and you're like, oh, they've got so many great. Like, you just wait until you get to like Broad Ior or things like that. Exactly. Wait till you get to those songs. Yeah, so that always gets me excited too.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And it is true. Led Zeppelin 3, Broad Ior Stomp. I think you're talking about Black Mountain Side. Yeah.
On this one, on the first album.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait till we get to Led Zeppelin 3, man.
Yeah. One other thing I actually learned about this. So you mentioned Good Times, Bad Times off the top. Glenn Johns produced this with Page. And so Johns was so excited about it. I think he went to show it to George Harrison, who was like, this is all noise. Like, what is this? Like, just not into it. No. And, same with Jeff Beck. Beck didn't think it was too noisy, but, he was like, why is You Shook Me on here? We just recorded this.
Yes.
So anyways.
He was pissed about that.
He should be.
Yeah.
He should be.
Because Truth, he had a version of that on Truth. Okay, your next tune, brother, is Van Halen. Somebody Get Me a Doctor from Van Halen 2. This is episode 5 for us.
Yeah, you can go back and watch this right now if you want. This song, to me is like, I love Women and Children First, the whole album, but this song is, for me, the greatest Van Halen song of the David Lee Roth era. This is of all time. This has everything. This has an amazing riff to open the song. This has Roth yelping. He does it on everything, but it has his yelp. It's got an amazing solo followed up by the fun that they have in studio. I just feel like Somebody Get Me a Doctor. Not only is it just catchy as all hell, but I feel like it really encompasses everything that Van Halen was.
Yes.
And, will go on to be at this time.
That's a great point. You're right. It's true. This is absolutely emblematic of the ethos of Van Halen.
Yeah.
I agree.
And that's what, I said it was tough because I feel like Van Halen 1, there's so many good songs, to start off with. We're Running with the Devil. It's a great opener, but they've got a ton of a lot of fun songs. But for me, Somebody Get Me a Doctor is just the hook, the riff, the solo, the fun. This is just has everything.
Oh yeah. I just love the looseness of it. We talked about this in the episode. It's
Yeah.
just the production is, what you hear is what happened. It's 4 dudes in a room. There's beer cans on the floor. The place is a disaster. And you know what I mean? And it's rock and roll as it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunset Sound, right? That's where they recorded this one.
Yep. Yeah.
So many albums.
Grit.
So many great albums. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So this one, I put this on, again, another Van Halen one song that I can put on anytime, anywhere, and just get totally amped up.
Oh yeah. 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 Same. Aerosmith is next. Seasons of Wither. I think this was episode 2.
Would have been from the Get Your Wings album. So yeah, this is episode 2. And it's just a song that really stood out to me. Again, really tough to pick. I mean, there are great songs on Toys in the Attic, great songs on Rocks, but when I think of Seasons of Wither and just the way that, and I say this in the episode, and I'm gonna do it, Brent. I'm gonna sing. So when he goes, get the wind right out of your sails, like just that line alone.
Oh yeah.
Boom, hair stands on end because it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting it. And it completely changes this sort of trajectory of the song. The solo's great. The intro is really mysterious and cool, the way it transitions from Train Kept a Rollin'. And I just really love everything about this song.
Oh yeah, that crescendo that you just mentioned there is like a roller coaster, and literally like Tyler's lifting you up, as he sings those notes, and it's like, oh, and you just like,
yes,
and then you go down the other side of the solo. Like it's so cool.
Yeah. And again, and I've said numerous times on the show, meaning and context of the song, like it's a side for me, when I listen to some of this. So I'm not really sure what the song's about, but I do know the way that the melody and everything about it makes me feel like it's just, again, one of those tunes that I want to go put on and just for that feeling.
Oh yeah. But this whole record is gold. I love it.
Gold. It's my favorite Aerosmith record of the ones we've listened to.
Me too, actually. It is. I can honestly say that. I mean, Rocks, and that's a statement because there's Rocks.
I was gonna say that's a statement, Brent. A statement. Look at you.
Well, it is. Think about the catalog. Rocks, Draw the Line. I like. A lot of people don't like it, but I mean, Toys in the Attic. Yeah, Get Your Wings, man.
Toys. I guess if I could do an honorable mention, Adam's Apple from Toys in the Attic. Yeah. That riff too is out of this world.
Oh yeah. Number 4, Rolling Stones. Can't You Hear Me Knockin', episode 8.
Yeah. From the Brown Sugar album. This is, again, another great album, but, obviously, Can't You Hear Me Knocking? And it might be like, well, everybody knows that song. I'm like, maybe, but there is so much, too, about this song that is so great. And you said it. You're like, this is rock and roll. Mm-hmm. If an alien came to Earth and wanted to know what rock and roll was, I would play them Can't You Hear Me Knockin'. I couldn't agree more because it's great rock and roll, but then what happens halfway through the song to get into the instrumental, the little breakdown, the story behind that just adds so much more to me. And that's always been a thing for me with the Rolling Stones, is sort of the stories and behind their albums. And we'll get to my next collection of songs after this one, but just everything about the story of how that jam session sort of happened and became and evolved really lends to the skin vibrations of this song.
Yeah, and almost wasn't captured.
Almost wasn't
two
captured.
Songs in one. The guys who did it didn't. They thought that it wasn't being recorded, and they came in. Richards came into the control room and said, I wish we could record that. That's a shame." And whoever was producing it said, "We did." And he was like, "Yeah, that's awesome."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and again, I think I say it on the episode, but just to be in a studio, like paying however many hundreds of thousands of dollars to be recording during that time and just to be jamming and just to be like you figure that maybe like a technician or whoever's recording would be like, we should stop recording so we save the tape. No. They didn't save any tape.
No.
They just kept rolling.
Oh, God,
It's so great. Yeah. So the Can You Hear Me Knockin'? And again, an honorable mention though on this album is Moonlight Mile.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is just the violins, the strings. It's so like, oh man, it's so great.
Yeah.
And so the Can You Hear Me Knockin' and Moonlight Mile are the ones that really stand out to me on this album.
So yeah, you know, thinking about that now, one of the best closing tunes for a record that I can think of in my mind, really, Moonlight Mile.
Seriously?
Oh, you think about that, and I say this in the episode, is that those last three notes, da da da, like it just kind of leaves you like, wow, you know, you're kind of transfixed for a couple seconds.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, totally, man. Yeah, like you said, it's just what a way to send it off. And, you know, then it sort of leads into their next epic rock and roll album.
Which coincidentally is your next pick, the Rolling Stones, Exile on Main Street. So you said not one, not two, not five, the entire record.
I couldn't pick. Like I had to pick a song from this album. And it's just so good, man. I mean, everything about it. And again, this is a big thing because of, again, the story behind it. But I mean, just the way it starts. I mean, rocks off and to rip this joint, and like there's everything on this album. So maybe it's not fair because this is like the seminal rock and roll album, but you know, of the albums that we've done, there isn't one that I want to go back and listen to more often than this. Wow. So, like from beginning to end. Really? You know? Yeah.
That's great.
It's so good.
And see, that's a statement in itself because of the length of the record. What is there? There's 18 songs on this album, I think.
18 songs. And I never feel like it's that long.
No.
Yeah, I think I played it 2 or 3 times in a day once because I just was like, I just got to put it on. Like was leading up to the episode, the recording of the episode. I was like, I could just listen to this. And, you know, where it really turns for me is, you know, Sweet Virginia's great, but Torn and Frayed, Sweet Black Angel, Love and Cup, Happy, like that string of songs is just phenomenal.
It really is. Yeah. You know, I said grit earlier, true grit on this record, you know, this, and again, we go through this in the episodes of just the backstories of how this record came together at Keith Richards' villa in France. And that's what made the magic of this record that we hear, you know, it's just they were like a gang of outlaws at this time. You know, they had no management. They had no record company. They had, you know, their money was about to be seized by the government and they were on the run. Like it's just it's a cool story. And this record is representative of that time.
It is. Yeah. And then something you asked me was, you know, did that story behind it sort of impact my feelings and my listening of the album? And it totally did. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you think about all that stuff going on in the background and they're still able to go out there and record something like this is just, man. Yeah. I mean, how can you not just sit and listen to these songs and think these songs could have never been? You That's know, right. There's just so much that happened that like instruments stolen, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, people, you know, band members living hours away from each other and, you know, just taking it upon themselves to record songs, you know, without other band members. Mm-hmm. And like, it's just like, it could have been an absolute disaster. And, you know, obviously it wasn't, but it just could have been it's a complete train wreck. Yeah.
There was no structure whatsoever. Guys were playing other people's instruments, you know, like, Taylor would play, you know, Bill Wyman's bass for him. If he didn't show up, he would supply the bass track. Richards was playing bass a little bit. So like there was all kinds of stuff going on. It was just completely, you know, loose.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. It's a credible story. And, you know, I'm reading this book, This Is Your Brain on Music by Daniel Levitin. And he talks about timbre and how you can really just like the timbre of music from certain eras are really distinguishable. Mm-hmm. I mean, listen to something from the 1940s and like the 80s and people try and capture these sounds and things like that. It's like, how many people have tried to capture just the essence and sound of this album alone, which, would never, it's just not possible. And, the Stones could never capture it again either. But it's just something when I think too about this album is just how it sounds. It just that in itself lends to what's so great about it. And, which makes me just feel so incredible. Like, again, it makes you feel like you're sitting in the room. Sweet Virginia, for example. Yeah. It's just, you feel like you're sitting there. And that also lends to my feeling to this whole album.
Yeah, no, you're right. There's a warmth about it. And you do feel as though you might be, sitting on the floor listening to these guys jam.
Put on a pair of Beats solo headphones, and just get lost. Maybe you can use that. Maybe Apple will, maybe they'll want to sponsor the episode, or maybe the Thursday Night Record Club.
There you go.
Just putting that out there. Just throw in a pair of Beats solo headphones to listen to the record. Feel immersed.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Speaking of shameless plugs, I want to plug Release Day once again. That's, in essence, really, you and I met at a show. Stephen Stanley was there. I was with him, I think, and you were producing
Lee Eckley.
It was you. It was Eckley, and
it was you and Lee.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But you were managing a band that was playing. I think it was it was Indie Week, I believe. But we met there. But initially, I had reached out to you again because I was such a big fan of Release Day. So I fully endorse it. Listeners, check it out. It's worth having a listen and a look at. So
thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
Get on that. Absolutely. And of course, check out Thursday Night Record Club.
Of course. That's a video. That's a vodcast, if you will.
That I think is more, it's more interesting to people, right? I mean, podcasts are audio. They're easier to listen to maybe if you're driving in your car or whatever. But I don't know. People always said to me, like, when's the video coming out? When are you going to do a video component to your podcast? But, you and I have been talking for a long time about doing something like that. And this is it. Yeah.
Yeah, totally, man. And, again, it's not just like two talking heads on a screen. It's got graphics. There's an opening sequence. We've got, you go through and you do factoids, like you look up like little pieces of information that we bring up, sort of like pop-up video to go along with what you or I are speaking about. So there's a bit of a engagement as well. And, just to take away from it more than just, two music fans and, guys having a good time chatting about music. There's some things to take away. So it's more than just a couple talking heads.
It's not just two ding dongs drinking bourbon.
Oh, ding dongs. I couldn't think of the word. That's it. Two ding dongs. Yeah, that's it.
All right, man. Well, listen, thank you so much for this. I appreciate it.
Oh, but thank you, man. Thanks again for plugging Release Day and, having me on to talk about these tunes. This is, as always, a ton of fun talking music with you.
Yeah. So when are we up next for Thursday Night Record Club?
Well, the next episode, the latest episode, will have been released January 13th, and then it'll be every Thursday following January 13th.
Alrighty.
So it'll be, it's just, there's a lot. There's a lot coming out.
There is.
There's a lot in the can, there's a lot coming out, and there's a lot more to come because there's a lot of music I ain't listened to.
That's right. I'm looking forward to getting through it with you, man.
Yep. Likewise.
All right. Stay on. I'm going to close the show out.
All right, brother. Thanks.
All right. This has been No Sleep Till Sudbury with Brent Jensen and my very special guest, Mr. Alex Huard. Till next time, folks. Take good care.
Brent Jensen is the best-selling author of No Sleep Till Sudbury, Leftover People, and All My Favorite People Are Broken. All titles available in stores and on Amazon worldwide.